Showdown by Jalen Alexander. The tension in the air crackled like electricity. Within a grand stadium sat thousands of fans, creating a buzz of excitement. Everyone in the stands differed from one another, being from different backgrounds, cultures, and creeds. Nonetheless, all their focus and excitement were on the event that was about to unfold before them. Near the bottom of the stand sat a puffed-up man with a mic in his hand. "Welcome, one and all, to the event of a lifetime." The crowd cheered, their anticipation bubbling up. "We have all been waiting for this fated day, the day of clashing titans, a day that will be spoken of for years to come, a day that will mark this very stadium." The crowd's cheers thundered throughout the city. First to the arena is our challenger. While he is young, he has proven to be a capable contender in this very arena, having never lost a bout, always coming out on top despite the challenge. Cheers sounded through the stadium, while boos sounded in kind. The announcer paused, letting the crowd bear their feelings. Except for rumored losses outside this arena. Chatter spread throughout the stands. Sounds about right.
What is he talking about? He never lose.
I've never heard about him losing. I think I heard about one of them. Oh, I know what he's talking about. One of these rumored losses being to the very one he is now challenging, the announcer continued. Tension and thrill bubbled further. With all that said, here is your challenger. From one side of the Coliseum stalked a young man, his stride full of purpose. While short in stature, his body spoke of numerous battles fought, scars dancing across his lean, sculpted figure. He wore his hair short, leaving his view clear. Within his eyes lay 1,000 daggers, cutting through any in front of him. Once he was in the center of the arena, he stood tall, glancing at the crowd. Those who met his gaze had shivers sent down their spines. Next is a man needing of no introduction. He has single-handedly crushed 100 opponents with 0 defeats, once taking on 30 opponents at the same time. It is rumored he travels the world, challenging nature itself in search of worthy contest, swimming up waterfalls and challenging the mightiest beasts. The cheers seemed to get louder, the excitement and anticipation bubbling further. Without further ado, here is your champion! The whole stadium seemed to quake as excitement officially boiled over. Arms went flailing, people shouted, and people all around grabbed each other, friend and stranger alike. From the shadows of the entry appeared a towering figure. The first thing you noticed about this opposing figure was his colossal height, casting a shadow on everything before him. Then your eyes drift to his sculpted figure, every muscle rippling across his body. And focusing on his face didn't make him any easier to face. The only way to describe his maniacal smile was demonic. His long hair flowed to his shoulders, reminding his opponents of an executioner's hood. Every part of him was intimidating. The confidence he exuded as he strolled towards his opponent crippled normal foes. When he reached his opponent, he stared him down and cast a shadow, the height difference obvious. Though his foe didn't shirk from the champion's gaze, he stared up at the champion unflinchingly, determined to seek victory in their bout. The tension between the two of them could be felt like the heat from an oven or the pressure before a storm. Phew, it's a good thing none of us are between those two. Something tells me we wouldn't come out in one piece, the announcer interjected. The two were unfazed by what the announcer just pointed out, making his statement all the more true. All right, let's get this battle started. The challenger immediately threw an uppercut, the swing too fast to be seen. However, the champion narrowly dodged and swung on his challenger. The challenger barely brought up his guard before being launched through the arena, skipping across the ground. The crowd cheered at the display of power. The challenger groaned as he sat upright, shaking his head and barking in frustration, punching the ground as he did so. Whoa! Blinken, you would have missed the first interaction of the fight, folks. The challenger immediately threw a swift uppercut, only for the champion to dodge and counter with a devastating right hook, sending the challenger flying. The champion took his time as he stalked towards the challenger, the same demonic smile on his face. The challenger growled before taking a deep breath. He then launched himself at the champion. What? The challenger can't be thinking of taking the champion head on. The size and weight difference almost makes this an unfair fight. Once a distance was closed between the two of them, they struck. The champion threw a mighty uppercut, and the challenger took his opportunity. He grabbed hold of the champion's arm mid-swing and swung the champion over his head. Incredible! The champion threw an uppercut on a smaller adversary, but was countered by the challenger. He used the champion's weight and momentum to his advantage to slam him. The champion smirked before flipping himself to land on his feet. Oh, but of course, our champion would fall for such a move, even if well executed. The champion continued his momentum and catapulted the challenger, who was still holding on to the champion's arm. The challenger was sent flying once more. However, this time, he was able to gain his bearings and land on his feet. The champion's smile grew larger, and he charged the challenger. The challenger stared down the charging bull of a champion. Uh-oh. The image that is before us is that of a wolf chasing down its prey. Once the distance was closed between them, the champion swung down upon the challenger with great force. The challenger hopped away from the swing, dodging it. With the swing missing its target, its impact on the ground sent up a large dust cloud. Whoa! The champion's sledgehammer of a swing missed the challenger by a breath and launched dust and debris into the air. Let me tell you, if you aren't watching this live, you are missing out. The crowd cheered at the spectacle of a fight. The challenger stood before the dust cloud with his guard up, scanning for any movement within, though to everyone's surprise there was none. There seems to be no movement in the dust, but the champion couldn't be anywhere else. Suddenly, a large fist emerged from the dust cloud, and the force of the punch cleared the cloud away. The challenger's eyes went wide as he scarcely dodged the punch. Whoa! The champion, or rather his fist, emerged from the cloud, launching a sneak attack on the challenger, though the challenger just barely dodged it. The challenger then bobbed under the champion's arm and unleashed a flurry of punches onto the champion. The rapid succession of punches first hit the champion's solar plexus 5 times before hitting the champion's face twice. After the barrage, the challenger hopped back twice. Whoa! The challenger has landed not only his first hit, but a barrage of hits upon the champion, and the champion almost looks to have felt it. Cheers erupted from the stands. The champion took a deep breath before staring down the challenger. The smile that was on his face was still there, but his eyes spoke of a different emotion than smug confidence. The challenger smiled at this. The champion slowly, intently stalked towards the challenger. The challenger squared himself, ready for what was about to come. Ladies and gentlemen, I do believe the fight is about to heat up. Cheers sounded all around. The challenger observed his keen opponent. After seeing the champion maintain a slower approach, he leapt to action. The champion swung down on the challenger, though the swing was much more controlled than before. The challenger spun out of the way of the hook, landing 2 hits on the champion's side while doing so, and appearing behind the champion. He took advantage of being in the champion's blind spot and kicked behind the champion's knee, causing it to buckle. Though the champion let himself fall, went for an upside-down straight punch at the challenger. The challenger dodged it and used the champion's positioning to roundhouse kick him in the head, the blow causing the champion to spin and fully knocking him to his knees. The champion is on his knees, ladies and gentlemen. The never before seen is before our very eyes. The challenger made full use of his advantage in agility, staying out of the reach of the champion to land solid blows. Cries of surprise rang through the stands. The champion shook his head and barked in frustration before hopping up and dashing towards the challenger. Uh-oh. Looks like the challenger has enraged the champion, who was now taking the offense. Will the challenger be able to handle what's next? The champion quickly closed the distance and unleashed a flurry of punches of his own. The challenger was able to dodge most of the punches, but not all of them. The two that struck him knocked him to the ground. All of the audience cried out. Some gasped, some cheered, and some groaned, feeling the blows the challenger just took. The challenger is down! Is this where the fight ends? The champion then raised his leg straight into the air to finish off his opponent. Though before he brought it down, the challenger snapped out of his temporary daze and rolled out of the way of the axe kick. Once on his feet, he took 3 hops away from the champion. The kick left a crater in the ground where the challenger's head was. Seeing this, an electric strike of fear traveled through the challenger. The challenger evaded the destructive axe kick, though didn't get away unscathed, instead taking psychological damage. The champion stalked toward the frozen challenger. What's this? The challenger is frozen, defenseless, as the champion advances upon him. The challenger then grit his teeth before barking out the paralyzing fear. While defiantly staring down the champion, the challenger took deep breaths, steeling himself. After a few, he neared the champion. While both had ironclad determination, their body languages spoke differently from each other. The champion menacingly scowled at the challenger, his previous smile gone. He leaned his body forward as he marched towards the challenger. His fists were balled so tight they looked capable of punching through steel. You could almost see the heat emanating off his body and his view staring a hole through the challenger. Each step filled with the intent of ending the challenger. Meanwhile, the challenger defiantly stared at the champion. While he was being careful, vigilantly observing his opponent, his body flowed. He kept his guard up while regularly switching it. He kept his fists open but ready, as well as keeping his feet light. The challenger has regained his nerve and is now approaching the champion, while the champion approaches him. Looking at the countenance of these two, this looks to be the point of no return, the climax of the fight. The fans cheered on, believing themselves to be ready for the height of the fight. Once the two met, the flurry of fists began. The champion endlessly swung his fists, holding nothing back, each swing set on ending the challenger. At the same time, the challenger evaded and parried every punch while taking every opportunity to land a blow on his opponent. This is an incredible spectacle to behold. These two top-class combatants are holding nothing back as they swing at each other. Though, looking closely at it, no blows are landing on the challenger. Am I seeing this right? Not only are none of the champion's swings connecting, but the challenger is flawlessly evading and redirecting all of the champion's swings. Exclaims of awe rang out from the audience, from those for and against the challenger. Sweat began to pour from both combatants, and the champion began to bleed and bruise from numerous points on his body. Though while blood was coming from the champion, the challenger stopped swinging as frequently. The challenger's eyes and reflexes were as keen as they ever were, while the champion's madness kept him swinging. Everyone was on the edge of their seats, announcer and spectator alike. Right as it looked that this fight could go on forever, it happened. The only one who saw it was the challenger, the one closest to and deepest in this duel. In one of his opponent's swings, it took a fraction of a second longer to pull it back. A minuscule amount of mass more was put into it. Seeing this opportunity, he mustered everything he could into a Hail Mary haymaker across his opponent's jaw. The punch jostled his opponent's skull, rattling his brain. The cracking noise the impact made echoed through the Colosseum. People all around either dropped their jaws or scrunched their faces upon seeing and hearing the punch. The punch resounded through the champion's body and dropped him. The once towering champion now laid still on the ground. The crowd went silent. The announcer had nothing to say of the sight before his eyes. The challenger, now champion, took deep, ragged breaths. You could see his body inflate and deflate with each breath. His whole body was shaking, adrenaline still pumping through him. He balled his fist and raised it. This seemed to break the trance on the event, and the crowd soon cheered. Ladies and gentlemen, the previous champion is down, taken down by one decisive blow. Everyone who has witnessed this historical event will be retelling this story for years to come, to their children, their grandchildren. With all that said, we have a new champion, the announcer proclaimed. The cheers thundered on, sounding the victory of the challenger, now champion.
Hello, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, check out the link below to check out more of my stories. Till next time, take care.